Welcome back to Profits of Geek Culture. I'm Stevie J, and today I'm going to take a look at movie theaters potentially being reopened. So let's have a look at this article. Trump wants movie theaters reopened, but blockbusters will be slow to return. Well, that makes sense. But anyway, let's see what Donald Trump says about this. President Donald Trump announced Thursday that cinemas might slowly be able to reopen in the coming months. The news tucked into a larger set of guidelines dealing when and how the US economy can resume during the coronavirus pandemic. It was a beacon of hope for movie theater owners whose business has been devastated by mandated shutdowns. Absolutely. Can you imagine you're owning a theater and all of a sudden you just can't open at all? You cannot show any movies, you're not making any revenue whatsoever. It must be very difficult to keep them afloat. And we've seen that with AMC, those discussions. It looks like they won't close or they won't foreclose, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. All right, it says, but even if multiplex marquees get reignited, it could still be several months before studios feel confident launching their blockbuster movies. Yeah, so understandable, because you've got to think about this. If movie theaters are only slowly reopening, the studios want everyone or as many people to go to the movies and see their movie when it's released. Otherwise, they're going to fail at the box office, and they can't keep them running at the theater for an extended period of time. So they're going to wait until as many theaters are open as possible, most likely, and then start showing their movies. But on the flip side of that, also, they could be the first ones and only ones to be showing their movies in theaters and be the only ones getting any box office revenue. So it probably could go both ways. Release calendars have been mostly cleared through August. There were a few stragglers such as Universal's comedy The King of Staten Island, Warner Brothers' sci-fi thriller Tenet, which I want to see, Disney's live-action Mulan, which should be okay, and Wonder Woman 1984 have vacated their late summer opening weekends. Theatre chains such as Cinemark have predicted that people could start going back to the movies in early July. However, there's still no clear sign that their lights will be able to turn back on masse by then. The reopening process will almost certainly differ among states, meaning theaters could gradually commence operation in regions that are less affected by the virus. While venues in the hardest hit areas like New York and New Jersey might have to remain shut, just say shut, for longer. If that's the case, studios will have little incentive to roll out their most important movies without major markets in the US open for business. Yes, like I said, agree. It'll probably be the same here in Australia, but it's a double-edged sword, I think, because you could hold off until your largest markets are open, but you also could have the only market if you're the only one putting your movies out. So, interesting. New York and Los Angeles are going to take a lot more time to reopen than Montana, predicts Jeff Buck, a box office analyst with exhibitor relations. Nobody's going to open Mulan or Tenet if it's just submarkets. Yeah, maybe. Bok adds, I just don't see big blockbuster opening off the bat, no matter how much assurance we have. This is going to take a while for people to adjust to. Even if it's less likely that tentpoles will grace the big screen so soon, should the rest of the world remain under lockdown, titles like Mulan and Wonder Woman 1984 carry massive price tags and count on their global appeal to attract crowds in hopes of turning a profit, of course. It's dicey, analysts say, for studios to test the waters with properties that are expected to generate $1 billion. Look, absolutely. I agree with that, and I can see that point. But again, there's another element to this as well, is that people have been locked up, people have been locked down and staying at home and all that kind of stuff, not able to go out and do anything. So if they're able to finally go out and see a movie, I think when theaters do open, whatever theaters they are, will probably be full as well. So they're going to be able to generate a fair bit of money from that. Yes, their whole markets might not reopen straight away, and all the cinemas that open may not be full, but I think there's a pretty good chance that people are going to get out there and go to the movies if they see these theaters starting to open. For that reason I just said, they've been locked down, locked up, staying at home, on quarantine, all that stuff. So people, once see theaters open, are going to want to go and see a movie. I mean, I will, for sure. Okay, if movie theaters across the world are reopen to different degrees, financially it becomes very difficult because big budget movies rely on global grosses, of course. The large venues in the US are finally able to reopen. The proposed federal guidelines stipulate strictly limiting seat capacity. Okay. So social distancing is going to come into it as well by the looks of it, where they're not going to be able to fill every seat. So, okay, that makes sense. I can probably see why they're a bit concerned about it, given that, because they can't sell physically as many tickets. There's also little indication of how willing audiences will be to return to theaters. Well, that's what I just talked about, and I think that really people will be willing to go. There might be pent-up demand from patrons who have been stuck at home for several months. Yes, there will, but it's equally possible that audiences will be hesitant to rush back to crowded places. Recent studios have suggested as much. Yes, look, I can see that, but I really think that most people, once they're given the green light, are going to want to go out to the movies. They're going to want to see these things and be doing something fun, feeling like they're out of their quarantined shacks or shelters or rooms or whatever they've been stuck in at home. Alright, so should cinemas successfully reset up shop, at least in parts of the country by July, there's a sense that studios could mitigate risk by opening movies that are less reliant on international box office returns. Comedies, for example, are a genre that's generally less expensive to produce and tend to generate most of their earnings in North America. They could also offer exhibitors popular older films from their catalogs at a cheaper price to make sure there's something still on a big screen. Okay, so I guess in summary, guys, if cinemas do reopen, do you think that you will go to the movies? Are you going to go out and see something? Do you want to see blockbusters? Do you just want to see these blockbusters be released anyway, regardless of any of the social distancing, any of the other issues going on? Personally, I'm going to go to the movies. Once we can go back, I'll be straight there. Whether it be to see Wonder Woman 84 or Mulan or whatever it might be that's coming out, I definitely want to go to the movies again. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. And this has been Prophets of Geek Culture. Make sure you subscribe. I'll catch you all later.